Hello, 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 Facebook land. It's Dave. Hi, how are you? So, for anyone that's been following me for the last little while, you'll have realised that my big thing at the minute is earthquakes, and I've got a bit of an obsession with them at the minute. Now, it's with good reason. So, if you look at this map, it's probably a good one. So, there you've got California down here, you've got Nevada. I'm stuck somewhere in here in Las Vegas. So, coming from the UK, we don't get that many earthquakes. Moved to the USA, and one of the big concerns that I had is where we were moving. There are a lot of quakes, obviously. So I started digging into this. I've looked at a lot of the research, and I've come up with 3 or 4 websites. In fact, how many have we got there? 6 websites, actually. That'll give you some good information on earthquakes, when they're happening, how they're happening, and then a little bit more information. So I'll start from the start. We'll go over this first tab. So this one's from the Southern California Earthquake Data Center. And you can see for this map, it's not the best map. It's not, it doesn't look the best. But if you click on each of these, and what that will do is it will zoom in. If you keep clicking, it actually gives you the information on the latest earthquake within that little square. So this one's a magnitude 3.5. This was on Friday. California area, obviously, and it gives you all the information there as to where it was specifically, how deep it was, the actual coordinates of it. So it gives you a lot of information that, to be quite honest, most people probably won't need, nor particularly care about. But you can see it zooms in quite a bit. For myself, I was quite surprised about this when I started looking at around Las Vegas way. So click on that, it's going to open up. They're not playing the game yet. There we go. There's a 1.2. Now 1.2 magnitude, you're never going to feel that. That's only gets picked up by seismographs and seismologists, who are people that study earthquakes. So that's that one. It gives you a little bit, but that's just for California and Nevada. So for anyone else that's sort of Louisiana, Tennessee type way, or if you're in Alaska, then tough. You're not going to get much from that. So let's go on to the next one. So just wait for this one to load up. So this one's, again, is similar. And this one's from, it's doing its own thing now. Let me just zoom that out again. It's just from Berkeley Seismic Lab, who obviously study earthquakes. And again, it's a similar theme. It's a map. However, you can scroll this one around a little bit. And this gives you color code at the bottom here. So it gives you if it's been the past hour, past day, past week. And you can see if we start moving over further east. So here's one of the other hots. So you can obviously tell the earthquake hotspots in the USA. You have West Coast, and the San Andreas fault runs sort of down there. Hence why you get a lot of earthquakes there. And there's quite a few faults in this middle bit here. So as I said, you've got all these places in the middle that get hit by it. So we'll zoom in, we'll have a look at one of those. So in the past day, there we go. Let's have a look at this one. So the magnitude 2, that's not that big. Magnitude 2.6. Let's see what this one in Columbus was. Right, let's look at this one. So it's a magnitude 2.4. Now if you open this up, because this is the US Geological Service, it gives you a lot of data and a lot of things that, being quite honest, most people won't have a clue what it means. But it has got a lot of information, and if you scroll down here, you can see all the stuff that it will give you. You can get an interactive map, you've got regional information, and then it gives you a bit more on the information as to what the quake did. Now, obviously, if you click on each of these, then it goes into it a bit more in depth. So there's this sort of epicenter of it. So there's that. It's Michigan, Indiana. Yeah, it's sort of caught between 3 states there, right in the corners. So there's a lot there that can give you, but because that's US Geological Service, it's a lot more in depth. So that's quite good. Come to the next one. This is live earthquake maps. Now this is worldwide, which for those of you that are interested, it gives you things that are a bit further afield, and more importantly for the people that live up here in Alaska, you can get some of the information quite easily. USGS does cover Alaska, but it's not quite as graphically pleasing as this is. So again, if you just click on one of these, and it gives you, so that was 3 hours ago actually. Wow. So it's a magnitude 4.4, so that's probably knocked a few and things off shelves. That's from the USGS feed, interestingly. So this feeds in from other places. Now, where this is good, if you actually look below here, there's actually a lot of other things, a lot of other maps that you can use as well. But the problem is with some of these, so I've got the forest fires one. I don't expect to see a lot on here because it's not quite into the forest fire season. But when it is that time of the year, then you can obviously dig down into this. And it would show you forest fires. If you look at some of the other parts that are on here, and I'm digressing slightly, I know, but you need to log in, so you can't get all the information. So if I go to USGS, so if I close this second and take that away. So the good thing about this is the main USGS tracker. Now this one's auto-updated as you go along, but the beauty of this one is, jumping about. Oh, it's zoomed out. This one can be zoomed out to the world view. Now you can see here, if you follow where all these earthquakes are, these follow all the fault lines, wherever you are in the world. So obviously it's when two fault lines, when it's the two plates move together, that's when you get an earthquake. So you can see around about the US and the west coast of Russia. This is the Pacific plate. It's a huge plate. And remember saying about the San Andreas fault? There we go. It runs right down the side of California. I read something that I think it was going to be in 15 million years, Los Angeles was going to be opposite San Francisco because of the way the plates are. So it's slow progress, it doesn't move far. I think it's about 2 inches a year that the plate moves. But you can see there where the fault runs down. So what will happen through time is this part will start to move in relation to this part. So this will slowly move up. That's what it said, in 15 million years, it's sort of be up this way. But yeah, so if you look in one of these, you click on it. And again, there you go. It gives you some of the information. That one's actually in Mexico. What was that? It's not giving you a lot of information there. Magnitude 5.2. What you can do, if you click up in this corner, what it will do is it will give you a bit more information on each of these. So you can actually look and see what's there and click on it. If we zoom in a bit, I'll go zoom into California. Let's click this one. It highlights it. So you can actually see a bit more of the information, and then you can obviously you can look into that a little bit more. If you click this one, so this is the shake map. So this looks very similar to the one that you looked at before, but what this does is, because it's in the USA and it's not just somewhere else in the world, there's actually a bit more data in here that you can use, and it's a bit more relevant to you. So let's click on one of these. So this is a perceived intensity map. So this is what people thought the intensity was. And again, there's a scale down the bottom here, and it corresponds to these colors here. So any that are sort of green, yellow, that's a lot more intense. So if we click on one of these, oh no, oh, I didn't like that. Hold on, let's go back. You get the point. And then if we go zip codes, so it'll actually break it down a lot more on intensity versus the distance from the earthquake. So obviously the further that you get away from it, then the less intensity. But these are pretty good graphs here. So this is the spread of the intensity that people said. So that's from the bottom right the way up to the top. So this is interesting. The further you get away from it, the spread gets further, generally speaking, and the closer you are, the closer that spread is. So there's a lot less perceived difference the closer you are to an epicenter, which makes sense. So anyway, that's one of the parts. And then the responses versus the time of when it actually hit. And then there's all sorts of other things in there that you can look at. So these responses, the amount of people that have responded to that in these specific areas. And again, I'm not going to go over this in massive detail because I could bore you for hours with it. So let's get back to the first page once more. There we go, that should load it up. So there's a few other features on here that are worth noting. So I've got this set to 30 days at the minute, but what you can do is you can change this. So you can change the magnitude of 2.5 plus or 4.5 plus, 7 days, 1 day, and 30 days. So it's up to you how you want to do it. You can then list it different ways. You can also do it on terrain. So if you zoom out, it shows you what it looks like on the terrain. You can do a street map. Oh, that's probably not going to work on that zoom level. Let's see what we get if we zoom in a bit. There you go. So that's giving you like all the interstate. Oh, we're way off California now. Let's move over a bit. There we go. There we go. Let's get on LA. So that'll give you it to quite a deep level. And obviously, the more you zoom in, then the more detail this starts to give you. So if you're in a very specific area, let's say you live in LA and you're in Long Beach, well, guess what? You can see the information specifically for there if something comes up. So that's quite good. And then another one that's really interesting that you can do with this, which is actually quite handy, if you click on here for US faults, it'll actually show you all the faults. And I don't know if you've seen just there coming up. So here's some of the fault lines. If I zoom it out a little bit, hopefully not too much, but you can see all these red lines that have come up and disappeared. So if I click it off now, these are all the fault lines that are in California that can potentially give you a quake. And most of these will give you a fairly small quake, but there are some biggies like the San Andreas, which runs up. I think that's that red one right through the middle there. There you go. You can see that's a pretty big fault line. So you can do all sorts with it. You can also put hazards on there as well. So that's the chances of an earthquake happening. Obviously, the more red, then the more chance there is of something happening. So if you take off the left-hand side, but you can see the areas of the US that are likely to have earthquakes. So you've got the West Coast, you've got the sort of mid-ish of the country, and then you've got South Carolina. So again, there's fault lines here. So if I click on US faults, no, it hasn't shown up too well there, but if I zoom it in a bit, take off the hazards, and then take off the faults. Ah, it's not coming up for some reason. Maybe the zoom level. But again, you get the point. There's loads in there. Right, going to the next one now. So this one's kind of good if you want to get down to quite a small level. So if you come up to the top here and you go to places, and let's select United States to begin with. That will give you the largest quakes that you've had in 24 hours, 7 days, 30 days, 365 days. So in the USA in the last year, there's been 66,705 earthquakes. And what you can do is you can filter this even further. So let's say, well, there you go, there's a good one. So if you live in Oregon, how many has there been? So there you go, it gives you 296 in the last year, 18 in the last 30 days. But more importantly, what it has here as well is the different coloured flags. So if you click on one of those, it gives you the information. It's not a great deal of information, but you can see up here, it will give you where it was, depth, all these kind of things, and when it was. So you can go back and look at things historically. Let's have a look. Let's see San Jose, California. Let's see what that brings up. So there you can go. There you see that there's actually been quite a few, unsurprisingly, in California. You can filter it by magnitude. So if we go for 4+, most of that's probably going to drop off. Surprised a lot of people, but there's still actually quite a few there. So there's still 451 earthquakes of magnitude 4+ in last year in San Jose, which is, in fact, no, that's not filtered that right for some reason. But again, you get the point. Now, I prefer this map because it's a lot simpler. There's a lot less to it. And it works quite well, but you can filter this as much as you want. So again, if you want to do something like Europe, for whatever reason, you can go to Europe and do the same thing. So there's a lot there that works quite well. And then the final one, now this is just, it's not the best map. This is from Caltech. And it's just Southern California, but it explains the fault lines. And more importantly, historically when things have happened. So in 1952, there was a 7.5. And what this is for is this is historical information, so you can use this a little bit to kind of try and gauge when the next big one is going to hit, which for California is long, long overdue. So this can maybe help you. sort of look at that. But that's all I've got. I just wanted to share that because that's something that I've been looking at quite a lot recently. And I would encourage you definitely to have a look at these and use them and understand them, especially if you're like me, you want to understand earthquakes and you're digging down into it a lot, and you're looking to see where the hot spots are. Or if you're looking to settle in the USA or move somewhere that hasn't got an earthquake, then this map's probably pretty good because it gives you all the hot spots. Should be no surprises, Alaska, the west coast, and then sort of kind of here in the middle in the east. So hope you enjoyed that. Hope you got something from it, and let me know what you think in the comments, or if you've got any other websites that you think are worthwhile looking at for earthquakes. I'm going to be looking at hurricanes soon as well, not because it affects me here in Nevada, but it's something, again, now that I'm interested in, now that I've started sort of pulling a thread on this with earthquakes. So again, you can let me know in the comments. Hopefully enjoyed this. I'll see you for the next one soon.